Louie Schwartzberg is a documentary filmmaker that is one of I have grown to love. His work is not just documentary in form, but also very spiritual. A film that he released last year, and it's also on Netflix right now. And I strongly recommend that you see his movie Fantastic Fungi. It's absolutely beautiful. It's about mushrooms, and it's about their potential medicinal benefits and how this needs to be studied more aggressively. I mean, I really believe a lot of what Louis talks about in the film, that in nature there may be the cures for all that ails us. And he specifically, it's also a beautiful film. You can have a slight rain, and within less than 24 hours, mushrooms will bloom, and he captures them in an incredibly beautiful way. The documentary is on Netflix now, Fantastic Fungi, but his new film, Gratitude Revealed, is now coming out. I'm excited to talk to Louis about the film. He's joining us today. Louie Schwartzberg, thank you. Really great to chat with you, sir.
Oh, great, Chris. Great to be with you.
Great. Let me get this set up here. I want to feature you front and center. Before we talk about the new film, Gratitude Revealed, tell us about the reaction to Fantastic Fungi. It's stunning. It's part nature documentary, medical documentary, but also has a spiritual level to it. You've seen how people reacted to that film. What are your thoughts now? What's the takeaway now that the film is out in the world and a lot of people can see it?
Yeah, well, just like you, Chris, it's been a struggle to do things that are unique and different, you know? Fantastic Fungi was released in late 2019. There weren't any distributors that really were interested in it. So I took the bold step of distributing the film independently. I think the timing was great because in 2019, the psychedelic renaissance was just beginning to happen with all the research at all the universities. 60 universities across America are currently doing research how psychedelics can treat trauma and PTSD. But it's really great that it took off and really catalyzed the movement, because so many people were afraid to talk about, let's say, psychedelics. The film isn't only about psychedelics. I get into the film about psychedelics. The film gets into psychedelics like about 2/3 in. First, I showed the beauty of mushrooms, the beauty of nature, the fact that it can heal the planet, the fact that it's the greatest natural solution for climate change, because CO2, carbon gets stored underground, and sequestered. 70% of all the CO2 the plants and trees take in is sequestered in the mycelial network. That's like the root system of mushrooms. The fact that they can heal your body, lion's mane for Alzheimer's, turkey tail for cancer. These are things we need to study. And finally, we're opening our minds and allowing scientific research on psychedelics, which is really important. I actually just finished one in Santa Monica. We did a clinical trial where people watched my Rhythms and Patterns of Nature at the Pacific Neuroscience Institute to treat alcohol addiction. So they're watching beautiful imagery of nature while they're coming on to psilocybin, and then they lay down and do the eye shades for 2 hours. And then I have a short video to help them get grounded, beautiful shots of the earth and shouts of light. And isn't it kind of shocking that we're using a Schedule I drug to treat people with alcohol addiction, which has tens of billions of dollars of marketing, pushing people to, die of alcohol? I mean, alcohol by far is the most dangerous drug. More people die of alcohol addiction and accidents by far than any other drug. And when you look at the scale, I've seen it, mushrooms are at the far right and alcohol is at the far left. But I think it's really, look, it was number one on Apple TV for a long time. Then it cracked the top 10. So just like the support you give to indie filmmakers, I mean, let the audience decide. Let's get rid of these gatekeepers, because guess what? The audience proved that there was a market, and guess what? We got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is shocking. And only 4 or 5 films that ever get that highest score in that year. And so even the critics liked it, which I'm shocked.
Well, yeah, I know it got a great review on Film Threat. The new documentary is very different.
Mhm.
And I'll say this, I think the timing of it could not be better, because we are experiencing, after the last 2 years of what we all went through, record highs of depression.
Right.
Suicide rates are on the rise, especially among teens. We have lost a sense of purpose. I think our nation, our country has lost a sense of purpose. I think our last united purpose was, we're going to go to the moon. We're going to conquer space. And then we
Right.
did. And then we stopped. And I think that what people are lacking and people are seeking, this is why you see so many people seeking out purpose and just happiness in life. Where does that come from? We're getting all this gloom and doom, dark commentary on, well, the earth only has like 30, 40 years left anyways. What's the point? And when you're constantly having that dark apocalyptic messaging, it's going to affect people's psyches. What your documentary does, Gratitude Revealed, it shows the roots of where happiness comes from. And it just comes from appreciation. You visit all types of people from all over, all walks of life, and how they remain happy at whatever station they are, rich or poor. Because I will say this, I have a lot of friends that have a lot of money. They're the least happy people I know.
Right.
They're the least happy people I know. But what inspired making this? And I will say this, before you get started talking about this, we're going to go to questions in the chat. So people have questions for Louie, please post them in the chat. We'll get to your chat questions. But there is a poem at the end of the film that got me about a couple in love at kind of the end of their lives that will rip your heart out. It's told in kind of animation, and my God, Louie, I just want to like compliment you on that. Thank you. Say, I'd love to see that released just as like a little short, that poem. Fantastic. But what made you decide, hey, I'm going to make a film about gratitude, which is a concept?
Right. Well, a couple of things. First of all, during the pandemic, I really couldn't go out and film, but I've been wanting to make this movie for decades. I did a 2014 TED Talk where this gratitude montage that's on YouTube was on it, and it went viral. It's had like over 20 million views. And so I knew that obviously there was something there. And this topic of gratitude has always, I think, been in my soul, because my parents were Holocaust survivors. Growing up under their roof, I saw how they appreciated all the little things in life, like food on the table, a roof over your head, a job, the miracle of having children. And that kind of made me always aware that it's the little things in life to make the world go round. That's why I made a film called Wings of Life. It's on Disney Plus, about pollinators. Meryl Streep is the voice of a flower, getting bees, bats, hummingbirds, and butterflies to come get her, to move her DNA around so that life can flourish. And who benefits? We do. We're the beneficiaries. That's where fruits come from, nuts, seeds, vegetables. Without that intersection, there would be no food. And then, so I've always been aware of gratitude and appreciation as being, the path that is fulfilling. And right now, I totally agree with you, Chris. There's a lot of things happening. We got environmental degradation. You talked about that. Coming out of this pandemic, where, again, what did we take for granted? Having food and with family and friends, having a meal, sharing dinner, again, the things we take for granted, when they're gone, that's when you realize it. And then, of course, the political discourse in this country is terrible right now. All these politicians can grab your attention by being outrageous, by being vulgar, but by saying things that are racist, which is like pressing the fear button. So when you're in that negative fear world, that spiral, you don't want to give your agency to that space. Think about it. Because if you're in, I think you have to be aware of what's being said. But if you're constantly in that quote unquote, fear world, then you're never going to let the good things come into your heart. And when you have, appreciation for the little things in life, it stops that negative spiral of rumination, which we all go through. We're spiraling out, we're thinking about what's wrong. All you got to do is shift for a moment and go, what can I be grateful for? Hey, guess what? I'm breathing. Guess what? I got 5 fingers that move. Hey, I'm talking to Chris right now. What a cool dude, there's always something you can be grateful for. And what that does, it stops the negative thinking. Boom, there you go. It's like a hard drive. If you fill it up with negative thoughts, there's no room for the good stuff. If you fill it up with good stuff, there's no room for the negative stuff. So it's not an antidote to all these problems. It's a baby step in the right direction. And you actually have to develop a muscle to exercise and savor the good things that happen to you. Because we always are problem solvers, guys especially, right? It's like we just go put out this fire, put out that fire, fix this, fix that. But when something good happens, to be able to be grateful for, wow, a cup of coffee that tastes great, that enables you to then start going in that direction that makes you wake up and become aware, you know what? This could be heaven on earth. We could be the change we want to be. Hey, if you don't like that party, let's throw another party. Let's throw a better party, right?
Yeah, I want to just comment on what you're saying. Your film really touched me. And is it available, like Gratitude Revealed? Is it available on video on demand, or how can people see it?
Well, yeah. So not yet. Today, we're opening up in theaters, 15 cities across America, including
great.
Australia. So LA, San Francisco, New York. And I think we have an event coming up, a virtual screening on World Gratitude Day, September 21. People can go to gratituderevealed.com and see where it's playing in theaters. And I think around Thanksgiving, we'll probably pivot and put it on VOD, But right now, the only way to watch it is to see it in the theater. But World Gratitude Day is available to anybody on the planet. We're going to have an early morning screening for Europe time zone and a later afternoon one. It's all on the website. And then we're going to have a Q&A and great entertainers joining us for that event.
Great. I just want to say, one of the things that I think really helped me during the last couple of years is just going for a walk. If you just slow down, we drive everywhere for the most part. We don't notice the little things. And I think when you walk, you see things in your neighborhood. There's this tree that's up the street in Pasadena where I live that they built the convention center around the tree because the roots are bursting. This tree is epic. And I always am mindful when I walk by and look at this tree, this tree is it's over 100 years old. This is crazy. They had to build around it because it was so spectacular. And I think when you go for walks, that alone can clear your head. I don't mean a walk listening to a podcast. I mean just a walk and paying attention. You got a lot of comments here in the chat. So let me go through the comments and questions because I know we're on limited time. Patrick Lemire says the road to unhappiness is comparing yourself to others. The internet is a comparison engine. Great comment. Super duper Giles says gratitude would fix a whole lot of the world's problems. And then people just saying hi to you here. Heliku says, oh, I have bought the Fantastic Fungi. Paul Stamets is such a great dude. Cameron Belt says, thank you, Louie. Holy hand grenades. Welcome, Louie. Welcome. Greetings, Sir Louie, says Solomon Thornton. And then I think we answered the question of where you can see it. Is it on, let's see, Netflix in the UK?
Not yet.
Not yet, but will.
Not Gratitude Revealed. Fantastic Fungi is everywhere on Netflix.
Oh, that's great.
Revealed, I suggest people go to gratituderevealed.com and then they'll be able to know when we do eventually online.
Great. Amanda Nowicki says, Gratitude Revealed sounds like a movie my mother-in-law would love. Going to recommend it for her. So that's great. Solomon Thornton, happiness is all about finding what you love and enjoying life to the fullest. Anyway, what other projects do you want to do?
Well, I think after this one, I'm actually going to do another film about wonder and awe. I think wonder is the intersection between art and science. And that's what most meditative practices or spiritual practices or science and art wants to do. It's about curiosity and wonder. It puts you in the moment. And when you're there, you're connected to the eternal.
Another bunch of questions here. We'll go through them quick. Holy hand grenades. Question for Louie. What's your psychedelic of choice?
That assumes I know the answer to that. But I would say I like mushrooms because they're organic.
Yeah. There you go. Fantastic Fungi was amazing, says Goober. It's parts of that film are hypnotic. Like you've made nature documentaries in the
Yeah.
past, and there's something about that you can just point your lens at. You talk about this in the doc at a flower, catching it in bloom. That's not you make it look easy. That's not a super easy thing to do. It could lean another way and it's out of frame or whatever. It's something that you have to be careful with.
I think when you make the ordinary extraordinary, that really does blow your mind. Because like if you see like a Star Wars movie, spaceship blows up, it doesn't move the needle. That's why all these action flicks get more and more extreme, because it doesn't affect you because it's fake. But to see a mushroom grow in front of you, to see a flower open, the brain's going, what the fuck is that? It's like I thought flowers don't move, and now I'm seeing them dance to the light. I can't pigeonhole it. Is it real? Is it unreal? Because part of your awareness is if you've already seen something 100 times, you don't analyze it. Which is, I guess, leads to taking it for granted.
We've got 3 more quick questions here. I'll go through them. But Dempsey has a comment. That shelf is pretty impressive. Seriously, I guess you've got a few awards. So there you go. That's good.
I've got no other shelf space in my studio. So there they are. Everything else is like flat walls.
Clayton Homer's question: how do we reverse the decades-long stigmatization of these types of drugs? Feels like people are so against entertaining any potential healing aspects. Hell, it took pot 30 years. What are your thoughts?
I think what's happening now is great. The fact that it's being researched in all these universities and the hospitals, and when the results come out, the data is so far proving to be extraordinarily positive. I think we have to go there first, and that I think is going to open up the doorway. But already, look what's happening. Decriminalization of nature is happening already in Denver, in Oregon, in Santa Cruz, in Vancouver, Washington, D.C. It'll be on the ballot in California. Hello. I mean, it's going to follow in the footsteps of pot. It's a sad thing it took this long, but we're living in this world of propaganda and fake news. Fear, is an easy button to push. Love, art, comedy, laughter, that takes more talent. And that's what we're trying to do, is shift people's awareness to fall in love with things they want to protect.
Yeah, well, I mean, one thing I think has opened a lot of people's eyes is big pharma's motivation is profit. And I think when that's the motivation, you're not always going to have the best interests of the consumer in mind. And when you look at like the horrific effects of fentanyl on this country, I'm against the pill is a solution for every problem. I will say this: I do take vitamins. I do take my zinc and vitamin D, niacin. There's certain things I know are good for me, but they're just over-the-counter vitamins that I seek out. I'm very suspicious when I'm recommended. I had my appendix out about 18 months ago, and they gave me all these pain pills. I said I don't want them. I said I'd rather just feel the pain, and I didn't take them, and it hurt for a couple days. A week I was not up to my 100%, and it was fine. No way was I going to take those pain pills. So
yeah, I mean, what is pain? It's just like your body telling you there's something that needs to be addressed. You don't want that warning light to go off, just like in a car. So it's good to be aware of what's happening. When it's gone, good. Now it's gone. It wasn't like blocked. And look, you're right about big pharma. I mean, it takes tens of millions of dollars to get anything approved through the FDA. That's why, like the vitamins you talk about, you can't make a medical claim that they're good for you. The FDA doesn't allow that, and so it keeps big pharma, big money. Only certain things get approved, and they want to only approve, drugs that you become addicted to or that you have to take. I mean, look at Zoloft and all these antidepressants. You take them for 20 years. The cool thing about psilocybin, 1 session, maybe 2, is all that you need to be able to have a self-realization moment.
Another quick question here. Luad CM20 says, did you find any inspiration for this from Werner Herzog's film Happy People?
I haven't seen it, so I can't answer that.
Okay. Glenuccio has a question. We'll end on this question here. What's the X factor a filmmaker needs in order to make a genuinely effective documentary that hits the audience in a deep way. Man, I will say this, if you're talking about deep way, your films are always very spiritual. I mean, they're not surface level movies at all. Any thoughts on that?
Absolutely. I think it has to be emotional. I think you have to appeal to the heart. And, I've never claimed my films are spiritual. I'm glad that you've expressed that, Chris, but I'm just trying to, open your heart. And I love the fact that people feel it's spiritual, transformational. That's great. But I don't promote it as that. So again, you can, if you appeal to the head, like what's logical or what's moral, it's like, it's not going to move the needle. It's not going to change behavior. I want to change behavior. How am I going to do that? I'm going to appeal to the heart. I'm going to make you fall in love with things. I'm going to use beauty, and that's going to shift your awareness, shift your behavior, and make the world a better place.
Well, Louie Schwartzberg, I just want to say thank you for spending time with us on the Film Threat Livecast here on a Friday. Gratitude Revealed, go to gratituderevealed.com. September 21st, there'll be a virtual screening with time zones all over the world. And eventually, I'm sure the movie will be out on VOD. But also, if you have not already, check out Fantastic Fungi. It's on Netflix. It is absolutely transformational and inspiring. And I'll say, Louie, for me, as a filmmaker myself, you're an inspiration. So thank you for spending time with us today.
Thank you, Chris. You're awesome.
All right. Take care. See you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. What a great dude. That's awesome. Fantastic Fungi, that movie it's practically an art film. Like it's just so stunning, the photography in that. So I was just riveted seeing that film.